Okay. It's time.
Let's get to the main event.
The main event here. So there's no way to talk about Fast X without spoiling it.
Yeah, so
genuinely, this movie is one of the craziest things I've ever seen in my life. It is a completely batshit experience.
Yeah.
And I there's no way to talk about it without talking about
everything
that fuck happened in this
everything
movie.
happens. So if you haven't seen it,
so yeah, we just want to be very clear. If you've not seen Fast X, this is going to be a spoiler conversation.
And you care.
If you want to see it,
care.
Yeah, like by all
come
means,
back to
like,
it later though, because you're going to need this therapy session as well. Like bookmark it here.
Genuinely,
we're an hour 8 minutes in. Bookmark it. Come back after you've seen it, because you're going to have hopefully
thoughts
and feelings that we're going to get out here. Because boy, like you messaged me last night about it, and I was like, I'm seeing it tomorrow. And like I'd seen all the tweets, I'd seen all the like Zach Harper was like, that was what the fuck did I just watch? And like that, Zach saying that was like okay, like I'm getting into something here.
But Zach has a higher tolerance for this.
He's got a high threshold. And here's the thing. So like I saw like Sean Fennessy like melting down about it, and I was like, okay, like that's a movie guy. Like I'm not a like cinema guy. Okay.
Yeah. And for what it's worth, like I listen to the big picture, and like Sean has never really liked these movies, and that's the reality.
Sure.
Like
so like I was like, I wasn't really worried about like the real like critic people, because I was like, okay, these aren't for you. You know, I'm the target audience. I'm the person who enjoyed F9. Like I thought it was a fun time. Like whatever, I can suspend.
I was a little bit less high on it.
You were. We had this discussion. We did this last year, and I was like, well, you know, you're right, but also like I had fun, so like cool.
Yeah.
This was like 3 bridges too far, even for me. Like we jumped the shark like 5 times. There had to have been 8 times where I laughed out loud in the theater at a moment that was not supposed to be funny.
I know.
I
looked at I told you this. I looked at Laura 10 minutes into the movie, and I was like, this might be bad. It was after the 4th like insert shot of Vin Diesel trying to emote with something like emotional, some sort of reaction that he was giving with the camera angle, like low angle coming up high, him looking enormous, like, you know, an angel with like the lighting behind him makes him look angelic. And like, it's just like, what are we doing?
So,
and like, he's like trying to give like dialogue that like is supposed to be impactful about family, obviously, because everything, of course, and like the dialogue particularly that he is giving is like some of the most cringeworthy stuff I've ever seen.
Dude, I tweeted after, I was like, did the writer's strike actually start with Fast X? Like, was that actually D-Day for the writer's strike? Because like there were a number of lines that I was like, what are we doing here? And like it's so clear they're trying to jam stuff in. And I essentially, like, it was like half an hour in, I think, after we had like our like 8th like really aggressive jump from scene to scene, like there was just no continuity, where I was like, oh man, Justin Lin bailed on this. That probably should have been a telltale sign.
I think we should mention all of this in terms of the context behind this. So Justin Lin leaves this film in the middle of it, seemingly. I don't know if they were like in the middle of production or in the middle of pre-production. Like it seems like fuzzy on some of the details. Yeah. Some of the details seem very fuzzy, and like there's never really been a great explanation for why he left. So
I think we saw it. I think we have 2 hours and 20 minutes of an explanation.
I was going to say, like, look, I have some guesses on that. The other piece of this that I think is actually quite important to know. Chris Morgan, for a long time, was the writer on this series. He wrote the 4th, 5th, sixth, and seventh films. He also wrote 8, and then I believe wrote Hobbs and Shaw, did not write 9, and did not write this one. Undeniably, 9 and X are the two worst written movies in this series. Like there's no way around that. Like we can talk about like Magnets in 9 or whatever, but like these are the two worst
dialogue wise
in this series.
Just rock bottom. Like
even like structurally, like structurally, like the script is like not structurally coherent. And then on top of it, Michelle Rodriguez, I think, was in an interview. They were asking her about Louis Leterrier, who is the director who took over in the middle of this for Justin Lin. And she said something like, he really saved our ass. Like he was incredible. Like they didn't have like the back half of a script, I think, or like maybe the final act of the script as they were in production for the film. And they were like trying to do things on the fly. And like Louis Leterrier like did a great job. I got to be honest. I am not a Louis Leterrier guy. I had a lot of concerns when he was hired for this thing. He made The Incredible Hulk, which is the worst Marvel movie. He made this movie, which is the worst Fast and Furious movie. He made the Now You See Me movies, which I don't really fuck with, but like, you know, some people do, whatever. He's made some like really, really bad stuff. Like he made Clash of the Titans, which was like quite poor. Like I think like is that the one where like Liam Neeson, there was the other one, there was like Wrath of the Titans or whatever. Is that the like Release the Kraken movie or whatever?
Oh, I believe so.
It might be that one. Yeah. I think he is like quite bad. And I think that a lot of those like insert shots of like Vin Diesel, like the camera looking up at like Vin Diesel, like he's an angel and like trying to like figure out all of the emotional core, I think comes from him. I think he's quite bad at that stuff.
Yeah, like they didn't hit a single emotional note.
Not a little bit.
Not one. Like they smoked every single one. Like even like I think the moment I realized like we were in for it in terms of dialogue, especially, was the barbecue.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
There wasn't even a single good interaction at the entire barbecue. It was all really disjointed. Like Rita Moreno's just like says like 12 words. Like Roman starts eating beans or something. Like it was one of those where I was just like, oh, okay, we didn't hit on any of these. We didn't hit on the emotional note. We didn't hit on the comedy note. We've so far whiffed. And like the barbecue scenes were always like there was always a little cringe to them with the like emotionalness, but like they usually hit on like, you know, better hide your baby oil, better hide that big ass forehead. Like they always hit on like something, you know, in there.
6 is probably the best one, I would say.
And so like, to whiff on that was when I was like, ooh, we're in for a long movie in terms of dialogue.
And like and this is where like I'm gonna get into like speculation, but like so much of the problems that I had were like involving asking Vin Diesel to act. I'm someone that like thinks Vin Diesel like has had moments as like a fairly good actor and like actually like a very compelling screen presence a lot of the time.
Sure.
Like he undeniably like he is a compelling screen presence in like the Fast and the Furious movie. He is a real interesting figure who like just has this like gravitas that you don't quite understand. It's there in like Fast 5, even as the transition
Fast 5
happens
for sure.
more to like family, you know, and as he's trying to pronounce the word father, like there's just like a lot of interest. Like he can actually like hold the screen in a really compelling way. He does none of that in this movie.
No.
I think I've figured out what the problem is.
Okay.
It's twofold. First, it feels like he has like control over this series from all of the reporting.
100%.
Right. And it feels like he takes that very seriously. And I feel like that seriousness comes into the performance. Like
100%.
everything has to have like this real gravitas.
Gravitas, yeah.
Like the fun of Fast 5 is that it's a fun movie. Like Furious 7 is emotional, but it's a fun movie.
Yeah.
And like the performances are fun.
Yeah.
There's none of that here.
Well, there's one person who has fun in this movie, and he is the best part of this movie, and it's Jason Momoa, and he is the reason to see this movie.
Yeah, I want to hold Jason Momoa for a second.
Sorry, because I've got so much to talk about with him. He is.
I do too, and
please continue. I'm sorry.
He's amazing in this movie.
He's so good.
I think that the second thing that really cratered this is unfortunately Paul Walker passing, because before it was essentially a two-hander in the middle, right? It was Paul Walker and it was Vin Diesel. And because of that, you had Vin Diesel off center just a little bit, not a lot, right? Just like a small amount. He was still like the central force of it all, but like you had Paul Walker who was able to be there and was able to take on like a lot of the gravity of the film. And Paul Walker is like a very good actor. Like he is not very good, but like Paul Walker's a good actor and can handle these, situations where he's asked to handle these things. He's also like a great like martial artist. He's also like, he was capable of a lot. Like he got really, really good throughout the course of these movies, I think.
Well, and that it also
toward
goes
it being,
to,
the shift toward it being one person in the middle, I think goes toward the seriousness now.
Well, it also forced the seriousness because Vin started to take real care in like of the series because Paul had died, and they wanted to make sure I think they've still done a good job with that of like trying to make sure there's always some tie-ins to Brian and like at least trying to kind of explain some things away.
Yeah.
How much you buy into it, whatever. But like, I think he wanted to, like, he always wants to do maybe too well by Paul. And like, they did such a good job with how they ended F7 and handled that moment as well as you possibly could. And since then, it's just been like, it's almost felt forced at times. Which I understand, but it's also kind of, it's when the series took that shift from fun family to like very like serious, like families, everything. We're afraid of losing people. Like that was when the shift happened where everything was about, I'm afraid of like the losing the people I love. And I think it's because of what happened with Paul, because Vin lost one of his very dear friends in real life. And I think it's impact that it makes it kind of, it's tough to like hammer him for it because like I understand wanting to do that, but like it's also just like the tenor of these movies, it's like it's all over the place. The levels just don't make sense. Like you go from like Roman doing Roman Pierce shit to like a very serious Vin Diesel monologue way too quick. And it's just like there's no time to breathe between.
Like in the middle of there being like a ball rolling through Rome.
Right. Then it's just like, all right. Like, and then like, and there was just like weird choices. Like they were like, all right, we're going to, like they gave Roman like a like sappy monologue in a fucking plane with Tej, like to be like, you're a leader. And it's like, shut up. Like, can we have the fun stuff? Like with like, that's their role is to do the fun stuff. Like, I don't want this whole thing about Roman. Really, you're a leader. It's like, no. But anyway, like, I think tonally, like that's why I understand why we're here. It's just made the movies worse.
It has. No, it really has. The other thing that I think this movie has that's a problem is there's just so much.
Oh my God, they had way too many ideas.
So much movie.
Which is insane because they're doing 3. This was part 1 of a three-part movie. They don't complete the story. How do
so much time?
How do we have this much in this movie? What are we doing? Like nothing felt finished ever. Every single scene was just like, oh, it's done. And then like we're on to a new thing. And it's like jump cut. We're in fucking Antarctica now. And it's just like, what?
Well, like,
did they want to do something to say they went to the 7th continent? Was that like the whole fucking reason?
yeah, like I don't know. But like the thing that like is weird to me is like you have this what? You have so many plots. So you have like the Vin Diesel plot, which is
Correct.
like the A plot, right? And then you have Momoa, which is like the B plot that's coming in, and like he's very, very clearly becoming like the main bad guy of the series.
Yeah.
And then you have Charlize Theron and Letty, which is like the C plot. And then you have like
Roman Tej,
Han, yeah,
Han,
Han, Roman
and
Tej, and Natalie Emanuel.
Ramsey.
Ramsey is her
Yeah.
name. Um, which is like totally, totally different. And then within all those plots, you get like these side characters that come in, like Helen Mirren comes in and has a scene with
Brie
Vin
Larson
Diesel.
is here now.
Oh yeah, by the way, you have Alan Ritchson and Brie Larson. That's like a fifth plot that's like coming
and then
across.
you have John Cena and
then
Lil B.
Yes,
So
John Cena and Lil B. That's 6. Like
also
genuinely 6 very disparate plots in this movie that are all happening at once. And I think that's actually not all of the plots, because then you also have Jason Statham coming into one of these plots.
Well, and so here's a genuine question I have about filming. Were they not able to get everybody together to film?
I actually wonder that too.
Because it was that same 4, Ramsey, Tej, Han, and Roman, that were constantly together. And then you have Vin and Michelle Rodriguez are together at times, but mostly it's Letty and Charlize. Yep. And like there's a very few scenes where kind of everybody's together. Like you have the barbecue, and then you have like, but they don't even the penultimate scene, they're not together because 4 of them are in a plane, and then like 2 of them are in Antarctica. Like there's not a lot where they're together, and that makes it so much harder to tell. Like so many of these, like all the best ones, like Fast 5, they're all together. Fast 6, they're all together. Even 7, like they're all together in these scenes, so you can tell the little stories, and you can have that interplay between all of these characters and serve all of the characters by having them interact with each other rather than tell 6 different storylines and plots because that you try to weave together. Like I feel like they're all very busy people. And like, I feel like it's really hard to get an ensemble. Like it's become an ensemble cast in a way it wasn't when none of them were particularly big names or hot commodities. And I think that is part of what happened. And like, they're just stitching together a bunch of stuff where they can't have them all together. Cause what makes that whole group work is they built the dynamics to work together.
Yeah.
And so when you split them off, you have lopsided stuff. So like Vin needs the comic relief. Like he needs that near him.
Yes.
And so when you don't have it near him, it's just a lot of Vin stuff. But if you just have Ramsey, Tej, and Roman
Pete
together,
Davidson.
and Pete Davidson, hello, and then like Han's just there, and Han's always kind of been like the quirky like one-liner guy, and but
they actually don't know what to do with him. I think.
No, they
having brought him back.
Yeah. And so you have those 3, and they kind of like their whole interplay. Those 3 have always had that interplay together. But like when it's just them, it's just a lot. And like I laughed so hard when Tej goes to the back of the truck, takes a 2-second look at a giant ball of steel, and immediately knows exactly what kind of bomb it is.
Yeah. What?
I was like, so what? Like I wrote a whole thing about how funny it is, like Tej's journey from 2 to 9. Because I find it hysterical. Like it's my favorite character arc in the history of movies, because like he literally goes from running jet ski races out the back of his garage to fucking outer space, and he's the best hacker in the world. I love it. ITT tech can do wonders, whatever. But like this motherfucker knows what a bomb is off look. He doesn't have to like examine it. Like it's just an orb, and he knows the exact type of bomb. Like, get the fuck out of here.
Oh my god. It's so funny.
Like, and that's so much of the Tej and Ramsey dialogue is like, technical thing. Like, look at this. It's a blah, 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 blah. And it's like,
Yeah.
no, don't say that. Like, also, I really enjoyed Crystal pointing this out after we were watching it. She was like, we're one movie removed from Ramsey, like, not like learning how to drive on the fly.
Yeah, that's right.
And then she's just like, she says some car stuff, and Tej like looks at her. She goes, "I know things." I'm like, you can't explain it that way. That's not how this shit works. Yeah, I know things now. So you can't fucking say that.
The other
like again, this is this the writer's strike? Like, what are we doing?
So maybe now is when we get into Momoa.
Okay, let's go to the high. The highest of highs.
Because
Oscar.
Momoa is fucking off the rails in this movie.
Oscar.
Unhinged. Like
so fucking good. My name's Dante. Ashante. He had so many moments that he was the only one that was like, this is supposed to be fucking fun. And
like he made choices that were fun.
He did. He went for it, like the nails and like the whole, like he just went. The moment where he's like, what should we blow up? And he goes, the Vatican. Like, oh, that's an interesting trip, but we'll do it, but you're going to hell. And it's just like, he's just fucking off the rails in this in the best way. And he's the only one who, and honestly, like, I knew he had like comedy chops but he's always been kind of the one-liner guy.
Yeah.
And he's just fucking
this is
funny
a complete
in this movie.
Performance.
This is a full-on physical, like everything. And it's like, they even like, I feel like it was partially his, like the dark humor. Like he's fucking painting the toenails of dead guys. Like
that's what I was going to say. There's a scene in this movie where he literally is painting the toenails of two dead guys whose eyes he has taped open while he is hacking into a safe or like a bank in order to steal millions upon millions of dollars.
And it works. It's one of
it works.
Like anybody else, this would have been like the most catastrophic scene in the movie. But like, you're just like, I got it. That was it. I was like, that was, I'm in. Here's the thing. The reason, like, I will be back for Fast 11. One, because I'm already pot committed.
Oh, we're so pot committed.
We're so deep. Yeah. But also, like, give me 2 more movies of Jason Momoa doing this shit.
Yes.
Like, he is 10 out of 10. He is a Brazilian that does not have a Brazilian accent. I love that he was just like, we're not doing an accent. He's like, I can't do that the whole movie. He's like, I'm just a guy.
Yeah.
We're not bothering. I was like,
no, it's
powerful stuff.
It's perfect.
He's so good. And the thing is, if everybody else acted like that in the movie, this could have been unbelievably fun.
That's the thing. He understands the assignment in a way that
him and Helen Mirren.
I was going to say Helen Mirren does. I think John Cena does. I think John Cena is really good in this movie. John Cena is just generally like a really good actor.
I love John Cena. Have we talked about Blockers before?
No, but Blockers.
Have we ever talked about off-season pod Blockers rewatch?
Yes.
I'm not fucking kidding. Idea. I'm not.
This is a good idea.
Okay. Anyway, sorry, I'm not going to derail this for like 20 minutes on this. We'll do a whole pod. But Blockers, incredible. If you haven't seen it, John Cena at his finest. Anyway,
unbelievable.
So it's all the bit people get it.
Yeah. Like Ludacris and Tyrese like understand the assignment. I think that they probably like ad-lib most of their dialogue, it feels like, because there's nothing else in the movie that is remotely similar to that.
Sure.
So like they get it. They know what they're going for here. I don't think Vin Diesel does. I don't think Letty does. I don't think Charlize does. I have no idea.
Brie Larson has no fucking clue what the vibe
is. I honestly feel bad for her. I don't think that was her fault.
No, like, I think she's good in most things. And like, this was just like, she was fucking lost.
Yeah. Like totally. And it's not, I don't think it was her fault.
No, again, it was not on her. It's just, this is like catastrophic script.
And I will say this. The other guy who got it was Alan Ritchson.
Oh, he was great.
He totally gets it.
He was
like, he knows the movie he's in.
He was like, I'm supposed to be the Rock stand-in.
Yeah. Like that tan that he has, I would bet you was a choice on his part.
He was all fucking like, and the other thing is like, he was one of the few guys that like, they they gave us just enough of his character to kind of like understand where we were going with him.
Yeah.
You know, like nothing was just like, what the fuck happened here? Like it was just like, okay, like I get what we're doing with him, but it's only the bit players that we got that. Also, like Helen Mirren pops up randomly in Rome. She's just there. And then she leaves. And then I was like, I mean, I guess they like, okay, like I don't know why she was there, but like good to see her. Love her in the movies. But she just has like info for Dom. Like, it was really weird. It was like when you play like it's like when you play a video game.
Just pay Helen Mirren 6 figures to come in for 4 minutes and give an info dump. It's great.
Yeah, it was great. She was like fresh off the whatever set with Harrison Ford and was like, I'll come do 10 minutes. In like a pink leopard print jacket. Awesome. 10 out of 10. More Helen Mirren. She's great. But like, yeah, there's just okay. Can we talk about some of like the choices that like can we talk about the Pete Davidson scene for a minute?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. So Han eats a muffin that is a mushroom muffin, right? Yes. The fun muffin.
Yeah.
He trips for 30 seconds and it never has a payoff.
No,
not once.
Not even a little bit.
Not even it never comes up again. He immediately is just like, okay, we're going to Jason Statham's house. When theoretically he should have been high. Like you could have done something.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, isn't he stoned like for that
out of his fucking mind?
Statham
like you could have had some real fun with like Jason Statham interacting with a fucking high as shit Han. Would have been great in this movie. Would it not have been?
Yeah, would have been perfect.
Would have been incredible, especially with a guy. A guy that he's beating up in the punching bag, like Han trying to figure out if that was fucking real.
Yeah,
you could have played that, but instead. And Roman's just like throwing powder in the air. No fucking payoff there. What was that? Where'd that come from? He just does it twice and then leaves and we never get anything more. Pete Davidson was good.
It feels like that was like a tacked on scene like at the end. Like, because they were like,
they're just like, hey, Pete Davidson.
Right now.
Yeah, they were like, hey, Pete Davidson said he's in. Yeah, like maybe that was it. But like, save it for the DVD extras or something. Like that scene had no, especially in a movie where you have a bunch of scenes that like needed another 2 minutes to finish off properly and have a transition. Yeah. Like why did they do 5 minutes in there?
If you make a 220 movie, I'm probably there for 240 at the end of the day. Like
tack it on, or you know, we could have cut that and just kind of like done some smoother transitions into scenes rather than like jump cutting to Antarctica. Real aggressive. Like there was some aggressive scene to scene movement.
So that's the other thing that I think bothers, and this is something that bothers me about like Leterrier films in general. Stylistically, they are so computer generated. This movie looks like shit.
It's
like
really bad.
I think that like in my Letterboxd review, it starts with like, we used to do things in this country. We used to drop buses off of cliffs. Like and like really absolutely like make them explode.
Do you remember when they shot the parking garage scene in Cleveland during the finals one year?
Yes.
They literally had cars shooting out of a garage. How many cars do you think actually crashed in this movie? Like 10 real cars
10 probably crashed? Yeah. Do you know how many they wrecked? Do you know how many they wrecked in Fast Five? Like over 200. Literally, they have like
they literally they have you ever seen the behind the scenes where they built the like rig for the safe and like drove the safe through the streets? Like there's somebody in the safe drive. It's fucking sick.
It's amazing. It feels like there was nothing tactile, nothing like.
I also have been watching too many. I've been watching too many Tom Cruise movies the last like 2 years.
I know,
and like it's just like fucking ruined shit like this for me.
Totally.
Like straight up. Like like you watch like Top Gun Maverick and you're like, fuck yeah. And we did a whole Mission Impossible rewatch getting ready for Dead Reckoning, which by the way, Dead Reckoning pod.
We will be back for that for sure.
Also
yeah.
Like you're just like, this is the good shit.
It's that, but like so like there are like a few like random like drone shots of like the like statue of Rio, right? There are like, you know, drone shots like establishing Rome. Right. It feels like they're like, I don't know this. It just feels like they're like almost not even in the locations. Like nothing about the
like there's no way they were in Brazil.
locations, yeah, like nothing about that like feels like you're in, like in Fast Five, like you are in the favelas, like you can like feel that, like with how like they use the geography of the location.
Yeah.
In Rome, like they're not even really using the geography of the location, like they're
They
not
went
using
down. They went
geography
down
of
a
the
big
location. Like,
hill. Like they
yeah,
did some stuff. Like I don't know what was going. Also, that scene. Let's talk about that. Like like I'm all about suspending belief in these action sequences. That's fine. But like I did find it really amusing when the bomb like rolled down the hill and went like straight through a bus, and then like 10 seconds later, Vin Diesel's like steering it with his car after it like went like through a bus, and then like it's not making a dent in the back of his Charger. I was like, this is pretty funny. I enjoyed
like
that.
what are we doing?
And then he
oh my
he like does
god,
like the F9 thing where he jumps off a cliff, but this time he hits a crane and like swings it. That was great.
yeah,
I did enjoy that. That was like the
that
closest
was
thing to
pretty
like
cool.
old Fast and Furious bullshit, where like
Yeah,
this is preposterous, this is fun. It felt like they tried to pay off, like I think they tried to pay off too many like nods to old movies with
this is exact. I'm so glad you brought this up,
because
this
like
is
that was like
exactly
the
where I
safe.
wanted to go.
That was like the safe thing where they have like the ball going through the city, and then they've got well,
no, Robbie, the whole movie,
yeah,
it feels like is them not having like any good ideas on how to propel
play the hits.
Like on how to propel the series forward.
Right.
So instead, they're looking back to the place that like fans love, right?
Mm-hmm.
Fast Five is like considered the best film in the series, right? Yeah. So okay, like here's we're closing up the series. Let's go back to Fast Five, right? That's what people will love. And let's bring back Hernan Reyes' son, right? And make him Jason Momoa, which is a great choice.
I mean,
Momoa
unbelievable choice. Because here's the thing. They were like, I think they were 50% on retconning shit for me in this movie. Like which is pretty high. Like they did a pretty, like we'll get to the ending.
Bonkers. Like
we'll get to the ending. Like again, a thing that did not land at any way for anyone in
not
the
in
theater.
the least. Yeah,
it was just what the fuck was that?
That's how ours was too.
Yeah, it was just like, what did we just see? Yeah, like, oh man, like yeah, they just like there's a nod to like the tunnels with the mine thing from 4 while they're in Portugal. Also, I got so many fucking tangents. How the fuck did John Cena get to Portugal? They took a flight from Yuma, Arizona.
Yeah, right? Like,
and they jumped out in a kayak plane. How the fuck did you get from there to Portugal?
Like when do you take off? Like, do you take off when you're over
on
the
Southern Airways?
Yeah.
Are there directs? What happened there?
Directs.
Is there a Yuma to fucking Lisbon? How did we get here? I'm gonna wake my neighbors.
Is there a Yuma to Lisbon?
What are we doing?
Oh my god! Is there a Yuma to Lisbon?
I mean, like that. Like I can suspend that. Like if he had been going to Brazil, all right, it's the same. Like not even the same hemisphere, but it's the same.
Yeah.
Continent, generally.
By the way, I'm gonna be honest with you. I had no idea they were in Portugal.
I only knew because it said Portugal in the big fucking silver letters on the screen.
Yeah, like why? I must have like
have they so genuine question. When were they in Portugal? Was that when they were in was that after Exile? Was that when they after 5? After 5 when they go to where are they living after 5 when
the Canary Islands?
Okay, so that doesn't make any fucking sense.
Not that, yeah. I think aren't they in Portugal in 9?
I'm gonna be
honest. Is that wrong?
I'm gonna be honest. No. Nine's a little fuzzy for me. I didn't rewatch.
9's a little fuzzy for me too. But like that's the thing. Like the ball rolling down the hill is playing the hits from 5. Yeah. Like the crazier one where they're playing the hits is like they tried to replay the Letty like tackle in midair between the 2 highways between Dom and the kid. Like this kid like jumps from one car to another at 100 miles an hour.
He one-hands him. He Odell Beckham's his son through the fucking car.
he, he's like, I got him. I got this.
That was so good. And then they
No,
also
how bad are these parents? Can we just be honest? Like, how terrible are these parents?
also can I ask a question about the casting of Lil B? How is that?
Yes.
How is that the child of Elena and Dom Toretto?
A lot of questions there.
A lot of questions
A lot
there.
of questions. None of them.
Don't want to go deep in that, but
yeah.
just again, like I was like, did they forget that it wasn't Michelle Rodriguez's?
I honestly thought that too. Like, did you actually forget? Like, is that what happened here?
Maybe.
But
yeah,
no,
dude, they are terrible parents. They really are.
No, like seriously, the level to which they are putting this child, they're like, yeah, like we, oh yeah, even when like the agency comes into the house, like they just have like full like faith in like Lil B like going to hide. Like, yeah, we're good. Just like go hide. Yeah, this is a normal occurrence for us. It's all good.
I do enjoy that they like whenever they have any of their wrestling people, they get to do their finisher once in the movie.
Oh
we got an attitude adjustment straight through the floor.
Yeah.
I enjoyed that. That's at least a little continuity for me.
Well, the funniest continuity part of it is that Jordana Brewster and John Cena are Vin Diesel's brother and sister.
That's correct. That's correct.
How does that work?
Listen, don't worry about it. All right. Yeah. I mean, also like John Cena's supposed to be like Hispanic. Like,
yeah, my man is from Massachusetts.
I do like the Massachusetts nod with the Marky Mark in the car. That was funny. That was a fun scene.
Was good.
That was a fun scene.
Really good.
Again, that was John Cena like embracing the movie's tone in a way that, like, again, nobody else really did.
Yeah, him and Momoa, they got it.
Momoa is so good, dude.
The other thing with that and the kid is just like they're just like doing donuts to start the movie. Like, how old is Lil B? Do we know?
I believe he's like 10.
That's what my guess was, like 10 years old.
I believe he's 10.
Kids just like drifting, doing donuts,
learning how to drift, man. First time drifting. I mean, I get that. Like that was so far down the list of like.
But that's the least crazy thing that happens with him in this movie.
Yeah, but like they're in a parking lot. Like I understand that. I'm not surprised by that at all.
When was the last time you saw a Dodger Stadium parking lot that empty?
Listen, I'm not an LA guy. I can't speak to the LA.
It's probably pretty empty a reasonable amount of the time when they're.
I mean, I'm sure. I mean, they shot it there, so hey, at least they were on location for something.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, man. The whole Lil B, and also like, I just like maybe it's me being bad. I have no emotional attachment to the little fella. Like, there's never a moment where I'm like, yeah, he's in peril. Like, so the funniest moment that happened was when Jason Momoa goes, looks like Uncle Muscles isn't gonna make it to the next barbecue, and then turns to, like, in front of the fucking kid and then goes, well, that was actually horrible. Like, it was so fucking funny. Like, again, like, steer into the absurdity of telling a kid his uncle's dead and then being like laughing about it and then being like, oh, that was actually pretty horrible.
Meanwhile, like, there's no acknowledgement of this kid's like uncle literally dying. He's just like good and like jumping between 100-mile-an-hour cars. Like,
dude, that was the only acknowledgement, is Jason Momoa making a fucking joke in front of him, and he's just like, I mean, the kid's put in a bad spot. But yeah, like, I was like, at no point was I like, one, like, you're never worried about him because like it's a Fast and Furious movie and he's Dom's son. But like, two, also, like, I was like never like, oh, I'm worried about what happens to the kid. You know, it's just like we're just fucking off the rails. Also, I like how they like. Are we supposed to like believe that the people in the plane are dead when they fucking bring back Gal Gadot?
I know.
Am I supposed to be like, oh no, what happened?
So all of this, like, I was just sitting there, I was like kind of laughing, like, oh my God, this might be bad. Like what? Like literally, like genuinely, like just sitting there, like look, I said, looked at Laura 10 minutes, and I was like, oh my god, this might be like really bad. And then throughout it, I was like basically coasting along. I was like,
Sure.
okay, this is a normal bad movie, like whatever. And then that happens, and I'm like, oh no, this is like catastrophically stupid. Are we supposed to believe that this plane is in any sort of peril that we saw explode? Like, are you going to bring back Gal Gadot just to like completely fucking like kill Han, who's in this plane? What am I
Dude,
missing here?
dude,
How
all
does
right.
Jason Momoa show up at that bridge thing on the dam before Dom does? He like
Well, he
kind of
shows up. He
spins
shows up at
out,
the.
doesn't
He
he?
shows up at like the same time.
But like he like kind of spins out, doesn't he? Like how does he?
Yeah, he goes
Dom's
down like a
presumably
cliff. He
going.
goes down a cliff.
Yeah, like going like 120, you would think, because that's what Dom's. That's what Dom does. He's not driving the speed limit. We can guarantee that. And then
I mean,
Momoa
like
just like
maybe
shows up.
the most
Did he teleport?
the most charitable read I can have on this is that they tell Dom to like turn off on the side road to get there or whatever. And like Momoa's spin out actually put him at
Okay,
the dam sooner. This I'm gonna be as
because
does this
Richton tells him to. Okay, no, this is good. This is a charitable read, and this is a good read.
does this movie deserve it? No. But am I gonna
No.
give it to him? Yes.
Yeah, I
Because I
accept
love
that.
this franchise. So that's what I'm gonna say happened there. I'm gonna give
Yeah.
them the benefit of the doubt on that. However, everything else is a bit preposterous.
This whole movie is preposterous. How are we feeling going into the next one, which comes
Okay.
out in 2025? How concerned are we here?
Concerned. However, what I will say is, one, I fucking called it on the F9 pod. I said
Yeah.
Dwayne's coming back.
Dwayne's coming back.
I said Dwayne's coming back. What do we
You
get?
knew.
What do we get?
We got Dwayne back.
End credit scene, Dwayne's fucking back. Also, they telegraphed it by having Dwayne in all the fucking like background shots of all like the things that had happened. I was like, if he didn't come back, if he wasn't coming back, they would have just pretended he didn't exist.
Yeah.
So I was like, I was actually waiting for him to show up at some point in the movie. I was actually impressed by the restraint to save it. Mildly impressed. So here's my guess on what 11 is. 11's gonna be.
That's actually a really good point. It's actually like a really good entry point for him too.
That's great.
Because
it's gonna be a Hobbs and Shaw movie.
Yes,
is what I'm gonna say, because they leave off with Shaw going to like kill a bunch of people that are trying to take his mom. Right. That's the last time we see him. We don't see him at fucking again. And then they
Shaw,
have sorry, Shaw. And then they have Hobbs in the end credit scene get a call and then crush a cell phone with his hand. And I'm like, all right, I'm back.
Oh, I don't think there's any way Vin is letting them do a Hobbs and Shaw movie.
Well, no, but what I'm saying is I think F11
thing.
is mostly going to feel like that in terms of like, I think Vin will be, at least for the first beginning parts, I think Vin will be a bit more tertiary. Eventually he will step back into the center, but yeah, there's too much money at play for them not to get everybody back in. What I do hope is like maybe Dwayne can, because wasn't the issue Dwayne had that like nobody took that shit seriously? Wasn't the thing he kept getting mad about like Vin showing up like late and shit and not being prepared and like fucking up dialogue, and like Dwayne called him out on it, and then everybody was like, and then Tyrese got mad at him for Vin.
Yeah.
Like maybe, and this again, charitable read after what we just saw, maybe Dwayne can like lock shit in if he's actually involved, but I don't have high hopes. No, I cannot.
I don't
like. So, can we talk about the gal thing and her being back?
Yeah.
Because
we
got a lot of questions. One, like she was like the most dead of like all the deaths.
I don't think she was, for what it's worth. I disagree with that. I think she falls backward off of a car that's hanging in the air,
off a plane
while shooting that guy
on a runway. That's going.
The most dead was by far Luke Evans, and Luke Evans we know is not dead. Luke Evans flies backward out of a car, out of the back of a plane, like going that way. It feels like that plane is going fast. Gal Gadot fires, I don't know how far off the ground she is. I actually don't think she's that far off the ground.
They're going like 100, dude. It's a plane taking off.
Oh, let me be clear. It's all fucking insane, Robbie. But like, I'm just saying, like,
and they have the restraint to wait 4 movies?
Well, yeah,
5
she
movies?
got Wonder Woman. Like, what do you want us to do? 4 in the main series, yeah. And 4 plus Hobbs and Shaw. So, like, yes.
Okay. All right.
All of that is
fine,
right.
Fine. Okay, fine. Let's push that part aside.
Yeah.
She's working nuclear submarines for Charlize Theron now?
Yeah, that's confusing.
Who was, up until literally the beginning of this movie, the #1 villain?
Yeah, I don't know how that changed.
So, like, it changed because, like, the enemy of my enemy, like, the same shit they've been doing. But how? Because I am led to believe that from that moment forward, Charlize Theron was at the black site. So there was no, like, intel, like, yeah, she's fine now. She's cool. She's with us. So she's just been working for her?
Yeah, she's just working for Charlize this whole time?
She's just been
like,
working
in the
for
middle
Cypher
of, like,
the whole
7?
time? Like, while Charlize is, like, killing Elena?
Yeah, it doesn't seem right, does it?
Something's not. So also, she can drive a nuclear submarine?
Oh, well, we don't know who else is in that sub.
It's fair. Okay, fine. Charitable read again.
But no, it's just gonna be her. We know that.
Oh, 100%. There's not gonna be anybody else inside that sub. But like, that was the part where I was like, so she's working for the bad guy that nobody knew was not the bad guy anymore until 2 hours ago in this movie.
Correct.
Fantastic. Great work.
Yeah, it's all great, Robbie.
I feel like at some point Gal was like, yeah, I'm back. Like, Wonder Woman's over. And they were like, fuck it. Figure it out. Get her in here.
I wonder if that timing actually did work out.
Put her with the other 2 women. Like, that's what they do. They're just like, put her with the other 2 women. Like,
meanwhile, Brie Larson's like also in that plot line. So, like, of course, like, yeah, no, it's all bad. It's all nonsensical, and I'm so confused. And
I don't know if we got very far in this conversation. Like, I feel good getting.
I feel good getting it out. That's the thing. Like,
I want to hammer home, like, Jason.
We love this franchise.
We love this franchise. I'll be back first weekend, Fast 11. I'll be there.
Yes.
Jason Momoa, like, you deserve everything. Like, I hope they send you half of the box office gross because you're the redeeming quality. Like, you kept me going in this movie. You made choices. You went all in on your choices. You recognize this is supposed to be fun, and you said, you're goddamn right. And 10 out of 10. Like, unbelievable performance. Everybody else, let's go back to the drawing board.
We got to go back to the drawing board. We got to figure some things out. We got to get Chris Morgan back. We got to get Justin Lin. Like, seriously, pay whatever it takes for Justin Lin.
Please. Like, we need competent hands.
Genuinely, you can't pay him enough. You can't give him enough control.
Yeah, whatever the issue was, and like, again, like, that's what I feel like. They just were like, Vin, it's your show. And like, we've gone too far. We've just gone too far with giving Vin the controls, and we need to rein it in a little bit, which maybe Dwayne coming back will do. That's going to be my the thing I hold out.